Welcome to This Explainer. Today, I'm putting on my expert racing analyst hat, and we are going to do something incredibly fun and honestly highly practical. We are going to reverse engineer the massive 2026 Belmont Stakes payouts. You know, whether you're a seasoned handicapper who basically lives at the track on weekends, or you're just tuning in for the Triple Crown spectacles, understanding how a race like this actually pays out is a literal masterclass in market analysis, strategy, and risk management. We're going to break down exactly what happened at Saratoga, why the board looked the way it did, and how the sharpest bettors out there capitalized on a truly historic run.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Where exactly was the smart money in the 2026 Belmont? It's the core question every single bettor asks themselves after the dust settles and those tickets are either torn up or getting cashed in. We all love the romance of a long shot, right? But finding true, actionable betting value, that is a science. It requires looking right past the hype, understanding the track conditions, and really exploiting those gaps between what the public thinks will happen and what the hard data suggests is actually probable. In the 158th running of the Belmont, the smart money was practically hiding in plain sight. So think of this as our betting slip for today's analysis. We're going to cover 1. The triumph of Golden Tempo, 2. Analyzing the odds, 3. Exotic betting strategies, 4. Key environmental factors, and 5. The prize purse. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the triumph of Golden Tempo. So Golden Tempo took this race at 9-2 odds, and let me tell you, he had to do it the hard way. He actually stumbled right out of the gates. But this is where brilliant horsemanship comes into play. Fresh off capturing the Kentucky Derby, his trailblazing trainer, Cherie DeVaux, who is the first woman ever to win the Run for the Roses, made a highly debated strategic move. She chose to skip the Preakness Stakes entirely, taking the chance of a Triple Crown completely off the table. But that controversial decision gave her horse a full 5-week rest. So when he stumbled at Saratoga, he still had the fresh legs and the pure stamina to charge from last place, surge late in the stretch, and definitively prove to the entire world that his Derby victory was absolutely no fluke. And here is what that spectacular late surge meant for his backers. $14. If you placed a standard $2 win bet on Golden Tempo, you walked away with a $14 payout. That is an incredibly impressive sheer financial return for a horse that had literally just won the Kentucky Derby. It really highlights just how much value was left on the board by a betting public that was, frankly, looking the other way. Moving right along to Section 2, analyzing the odds. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark, almost puzzling contrast in the market. On one side, we've got Renegade. He was the 2-1 morning line favorite, trained by Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher, who is famous for successfully pointing horses straight from the Derby to the Belmont. But remember, Renegade was the runner-up in the Derby. On the other side, we have Golden Tempo, the horse that actually beat him, sitting right there offering incredible value at 9-2. The betting public pushed so much money toward the popular Pletcher trainee that it artificially inflated the price on the actual Derby champion. You've got to remember, morning line odds are simply the track handicapper's initial forecast of how the betting public will wager on each horse. They are not a reflection of the true statistical probability of a horse actually winning. Smart analytical bettors use these initial odds as a baseline to spot discrepancies. When they saw the public heavily backing Renegade down to 8-5 by post time, they knew that 9-2 price on Golden Tempo was a massive value investment. You are essentially getting paid a premium just because of the public's bias. All right, let's get to the really fun stuff in Section 3, exotic betting strategies. And this brilliantly illustrates where the massive multipliers happen. Look at these payouts. A standard $2 exacta, combining Golden Tempo to win and the 6-1 shot Commandment to place, yielded a $111.34 return. If you added the heavy favorite Renegade to finish third for a $1 trifecta, you pulled in $102.64, and if you stretched it all the way to a $1 superfecta by adding the consistent Chief Wallaby in fourth, your payout jumped to $237.90. By correctly sequencing those value horses with the logical favorites, earnings were multiplied exponentially. So how do you actually structure a ticket like that to maximize your return on investment? Well, it's a 3-step process. Step 1, you anchor your ticket with your core value play, which here was Golden Tempo, the number 9. Step 2, you find another horse offering great value who is primed to run a big race, like Commandment, the 7, who is really looking to rebound from a tough trip in the Derby. Step 3, you protect your investment. You don't ignore the favorites, you use them. By putting Renegade and Chief Wallaby in the 3rd and 4th spots, you cover the most statistically probable outcomes underneath your value picks. It's a calculated, structured approach to risk. Let's shift gears to Section 4, key environmental factors.
So the crucial point is that odds don't exist in a vacuum, and the 2026 Belmont Stakes was highly anomalous. First off, it wasn't even held at Belmont Park. Due to reconstruction, it was moved up to the historic Saratoga racecourse. Second, because of Saratoga's specific track configuration, the grueling Test of the Champion, which is usually a mile and a half, was shortened to 1¼ miles. That completely alters the stamina requirements. And third, there was the looming threat of late afternoon thunderstorms with an 80% chance of showers heading into the evening. These specific track anomalies completely altered the pace scenario and overall race strategies for everyone involved.
Take the 12-to-1 long shot Power Shift, for example. On paper, with absolutely no other confirmed early speed horses in the 9-horse field, Power Shift looks like he could get an easy lead. Add in the threat of a sloppy, wet track, which, as we know, often favors horses on the front end, and he presented a highly unique pace scenario. Sharp bettors had to seriously factor in the possibility of a wire-to-wire run on the mud. Now, even though the rain held off just enough and the late closers like Golden Tempo ultimately dominated the stretch, the mere threat of these environmental factors heavily influenced the betting pools and how the smart money was distributed.
Finally, let's look at the actual tournament prize money in Section 5, the prize purse.
$2 million. That was the massive total purse for the 158th Belmont Stakes. It is just a staggering amount of money, and unlike some races that only pay out the top 5, the Belmont splits this purse among the top 8 finishers. But obviously, the ultimate goal is hitting that wire first, because an incredible $1.2 million, or 68% of that total purse, goes straight to the winner. Let's break down how this builds the financial mechanics of horse racing. That $1.2 million doesn't just go to one person. The standard breakdown sees 80% going to the horse's owner, who obviously carries the bulk of the financial risk and overhead. Then 10% goes to the jockey, and 10% goes to the trainer. So for orchestrating this magnificent victory, trailblazing trainers Cherie DeVow and her masterful jockey Jose Ortiz each took their well-earned cuts of that massive payday, securing not just their place in racing history, but a highly lucrative financial reward. So, there you have it. We've reverse engineered the board, analyzed those exotic ticket structures, and factored in the environment. The 2026 Belmont Stakes proved that immense value is absolutely out there if you just know where to look. So with such an unpredictable field, what will your strategy be for the next big race? Are you going to blindly follow the morning line favorite? Or will you hunt for the value, anchor your exotic smartly, and play the board like a true analyst? Keep these strategies in your back pocket and use them to find your own edge next time you step up to the window. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy handicapping.